All right, welcome back to another Friends of Constructed Adventures. Today I have Anna and Lisa from Scarlet Envelope. I am so excited to chat with them. Basically, what they do is they had a wildly successful Kickstarter, and they have a subscription-based, play-at-home, puzzle-filled, immersive game. You could kind of think it akin to the puzzle tales, which was a phrase that I like to give credit to Rita Orlov. I'm pretty sure she came up with it. We're all still trying to figure out what to call everything, but the idea is you pay a monthly subscription and you get this wonderful Scarlet Envelope with basically immersive stories and puzzles to figure out. So, without further ado, here is Lisa and Anna. Hi, do you guys want to correct me real quick on anything that I might have messed up on or add a little bit more?
No, you did so well. You actually did really well. It's so nice to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so excited to dive in. I love talking about kind of your life path. For anybody that is hopping in the chat, you can always ask questions, and I will find clever, fun times to add those in. We do also have a puzzle, which you might be able to spot behind them, which I will put up on the screen. And with that puzzle, the answer is actually a promo code. So we'll be able to do a promo code. I'm a little bit concerned because I see you might already be frozen, which is off to a great start. Thank you, Internet. But let me double check. Can you guys hear me at least?
Yeah, everything's good on our end.
All right, perfect. Well, we're going to barrel right through it. So the first thing I always like to ask is tell me a little bit about your life path. Tell me about little Anna and Lisa. Tell me about how you guys were as kids and what got you here today.
That's such an interesting question. Really, no one asked us this in the interview. I remember someone asked us, how did you get into puzzles?
Mm-hmm.
And were you into puzzles when you were kids? And I was like, was I? That's really hard to say. And I figured that I guess the first time I was really introduced to puzzles and narratives with puzzles were Nancy Drew games.
Yes.
Do you remember those? That is now when I say it out loud, it is kind of embarrassing because I remember you said Agatha Christie books, which sounds so much better than Nancy Drew. So it kind of, I guess, gives you an idea of how we were. She was all okay, smarter. Let's just say smarter. I was just a typical kid, I think, and I was really into dogs, foreign languages I really liked when I was a child for some reason. I got into learning English when I was super young, 4 years. Mm-hmm. I don't know. What were you like? What were you like?
Reading. Mostly reading. And then I got a computer and then kind of stopped reading.
Oh no. That's kind of how it is too. My mom recently told me, she was like, oh, there was a study that was done where if your parents read to you as a kid, you're more likely to read as an adult. And I'm like, I like playing video games. And my parents read to me all the time. And so I'm not one of those. But I like to make the argument that there are plenty of video games that you can play, which are also very, there's a lot of reading involved, There's a lot
Nancy Drew, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like Nancy Drew. I interviewed the hosts of Escape This Podcast, and they do a live stream where they play a Nancy Drew video game. And I think it's very, very funny. And I thought about doing a live stream playing puzzle games because that's a good inspiration as well. But yeah, I remember reading Hardy Boys, which is basically the boy version of Nancy Drew, right?
Yep. True.
I think they even did a crossover. I'm sure they did. All right, I'm trying to check. I still have you guys screen is frozen, so I'm just have myself super overlaid, but I'm kind of keeping an eye out for if for some reason it decides to come back. But no worries. The internet is the internet, and it's the literal worst, and it doesn't matter where you live. The internet never seems to work, and that's a whole nother conversation. Oh my God, you're back. Okay, so you guys were talking about how you basically read a lot of books, Agatha Christie and Nancy Drew. A really quick question. Did you see Knives Out when it came out last year?
Not books, Nancy Drew. A game.
Yes, Knives Out is amazing.
Knives Out is amazing. I'm excited they're already doing a sequel. Okay, so this kind of segues in from there. Actually, a really quick question. Do you have a moment when you realized that you wanted to create puzzles or experiences for other people? do you realize back like, oh my gosh, we've been kind of doing this for a while?
I guess partially. I wouldn't say that. Okay, so the idea with puzzles and actually going into the escape room styled industry, it only really struck us when COVID hit. But before that, for a very long time, I was just dreaming about having our own project, our own product that we would be able to create ourselves because our background is the media slash content creating agency. So that's what we do. And we create websites, we create digital experiences, we create graphic design, branding for companies, visualization, marketing for them, and stuff like that. Texts, I'm in charge of that. And so it's like all these little pieces, they kind of came together, everything kind of connected when we thought of puzzle based escape room style games, because all of these are components of a game. You write a story, you brand some fake companies, you create websites for them, you create videos and photos, and all of it should look realistic. It should look like it's real stuff, so people actually immerse in it and want to play with it. And but like when you work with just a real client, it's very much focused on the money, right? It's always just let's sell, let's sell, and you just keep doing the same thing that works for this client. And here, and that's what I love so much about this project, it's just the creative possibilities, they're really endless. We can really literally sit down and say, okay, this is what I want to do this month. I want to work with actors and I want to do something crazy like medieval times. And this is totally possible. Like, it's not a crazy idea. You can totally make it into a game. You can make it something that people will actually love.
That's great. Okay, it brings me back to the next question I like to ask is like, is there any specific place where you get inspiration or you find you get inspiration from? Because like you said, this started with COVID, which it was like COVID sucks, and this year has been pretty crummy, but it has been kind of a nice change of pace. I've started a YouTube channel, I've been able to do these things. You guys have literally started like another, I'm assuming, kind of like separate business, right, from what you usually do.
Yeah.
Like, where does your inspiration come from, and did you find that like the pandemic has impacted your creativity at all, or is it just like given you time to become more creative?
I remember specifically.
What?
We were so bored in COVID, we binged 4 seasons of Expanse
Oh,
Do you know this show on
on Amazon
on
Prime.
Amazon
I've
Prime?
heard of it, but I have never seen it.
We binged 4 seasons, and then we were like, it's such a great universe.
Yeah, such a great universe. So sad that we have to wait for the next season to come out. And that was like right about the same time when I started putting all the numbers together and looking at this business model of a paper-based game subscription. And so one day I just pitched it to Lisa, and I was like, okay, so remember how I really want to have some project that can be very creative and would allow us to work together? And she was like, sure. And I showed her some numbers and was like, okay, so from what I understand, this is what we can be making, working on it, doing all the same things that we do for the clients. Yes, it is going to take time. Yes, it is going to be hard. And I probably don't understand so many things about it yet, but it looks really good. And she was like, okay, you know what? This looks really good, but can we actually create the game from scratch, and what would it be? And I just went, okay, well, something about space. Like, we just watched 4 seasons worth of space themed universe ideas, and they were so inspiring and cool, and so many stories were there.
Yeah.
And you don't have to copy anything, you have to just think of what could possibly happen in the universe like that, maybe, but you can make it different, you can change a little things. And
That's our third game. We
and
started
that's
from
how
third.
yeah, we started from our third game. Like, this is the game that a lot of people are getting like
Right
any
now.
day now. Right now we're getting a lot of like tags and messages that they just played it, they just got it in their mailbox. That's actually the game that we created the first, and it was, of course, we changed it so much since that day when we just sat down and just were like, okay, let's just do this. Of course, a lot changed. But still, like this game is very special to me because it was something like I was like, yes, I can prove that we can create a game. I'm crazy about this. Why can't we just do it? Like we are geeks. We like space. I'm sure some other people would like space too. Um, yeah, and it just happened.
Okay, so I have so many other questions. So I would love for you guys just to talk about from like a consumer standpoint, like if I go on your website, what do I do? Like, and how does the process work? So I would assume I go on. Right now, you are a monthly subscription, so I just sign up and do a subscription, which I kind of love too, because then it's just like, oh, you can forget about it, and you're like, oh, an envelope came. Like, this is what I'm doing tonight. Like, here's what I do. It's monthly. Is it each envelope or each package is like completely self-contained, or is it like a drip feed? How what's the process work?
Yeah, that's a great question. Right now on our website, you can only get the subscription. This will likely change in 2021, but for now, it's just a subscription-based
Yeah,
thing.
COVID has thrown everything through a loop, so it's like no one's upset when you're like, well, it's not going to arrive in time, or like we can't get this one piece we need because it's coming from the other side of the world, and they just shut down again. And so,
Yes,
yeah,
I hope so much. There's still people who get upset, but customer service
I know.
is one of the big parts of this business. It's totally fine. So this right now, this is how it works. You go on the website. I hope that before that you saw us somewhere on like social media, because on social media on Instagram we have a lot of pictures of like just backstage process or sneak peeks inside the envelopes where you can actually look at the at some stuff without really spoiling the game. You can look at what the paper looks like, what kind of elements will be in the game. On our website, the functionality is not that great yet, but we are working on it. For now, it just mostly kind of describes what we are and just tells you, okay, you know what, just subscribe and you'll see.
Yeah, we have to make a website in a month, so we didn't have a choice.
Yeah, we are an example of starting the business so fast in such a rush. So a lot of things are not perfect, but they are working, and I think that's what's
2021.
important. 2021 will be the year of perfecting things.
I know it is. Oh gosh, it's so wild how I'm really impressed about how quickly you guys have grown and how everything seems to be going. Like everything looks really good, and you do kind of run into the same issue that all of us run into, where it's like we need to give the potential players enough to convince them to buy the game, to hire us to do this, but we can't give away what it is because that's the whole meat of everything. And so
this is so hard, and it's such a bummer because I really like for game 4, say we work with actors. We're making videos of suspects interrogations, and this is so crazy fun. We've never done this before, like for the game. We've done commercial videos and interviews and stuff like that, but this is something new and fresh, and I would really love to share it. I would really love to add it to some kind of a commercial we have, advertise it, but I can't because it's a part of the story and I can't spoil it. So probably I'll probably like cut itty bitty pieces and do some kind of a remix and maybe show it this way.
Show bloopers.
Or you could just have them read some extra lines that like have nothing to do with the actual story but seem convincing, and you can just throw those in, like a B-roll thing.
That is a good idea. We did not do that, but maybe next time. There are still some items that we can show, and it's fine because they're just so overwhelming with details. You will not get what's the puzzle, like what's happening, and it's fine to actually show
Our
it.
last baby.
Yeah,
the one that
last baby.
Not this one.
That's the baby.
No,
that is
not.
the baby. I don't know what you're talking about. Look how we did it. It's a huge space map.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks very astronomy.
Yeah, and it's the other side is a constellations map, like stars and everything. It's not really a spoiler, I think, because you have no idea what to do with it.
Zero
really.
idea. Totally fine to see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that something with the game that just dropped, or is this for an upcoming game?
It just dropped. Yeah, that's game 3, the space one. But like now, it just sounds like we are a space-themed subscription, which we are definitely not. It's just something that we just finished working on, and we're still hyping and stuff.
Yeah, as soon as the new game finished, we I hate the second one.
Honestly, I don't know. Does it happen to any other creators watching? Because it's such it's such a thing, apparently, because I'm so in love with the game. As soon as it drops, as soon as it's published, and I'm working on the next game, I feel like the previous game, like, it's just not doing it for me anymore. I'm like,
Oh,
ugh.
absolutely. For me personally, like every adventure that I do is custom to the person, but I will 100% recite. Like, you can see a
Awesome.
cryptex behind me. It's like I will use that cryptex because it's a great experience. But
Yeah.
I see one, and you talked to Rita Orlov. She talked about the Tale of Lord. She was like, it was she sees all these issues, but it's because you're learning and you're getting better, right? It's not because your previous installment was bad, but your new one is just better because you like tweaked and learned and different things. So that gets me to one of my favorite questions to ask, and I would love to know if you even have it, because it's a really hard question to answer. What is your process for building? I usually say a puzzle, but I'm going to change it. I'm going to say like a game. And I'm happy to talk about my process too and see how much that mirrors. But I'm always so curious about like, what is your process? You just finished game 3, and I'm going to assume that you probably have some ideas for the next couple games. But like, how does it begin, and how does it get from beginning to like the game is all set and we're ready to ship it out to people?
Yeah.
It all begins with Google document.
Oh, she's just quoting me right now. Yes. I'm a bit of a control freak, and I am the one who's like doing the whole organizing everything, managing the tasks. Like, this type of stuff is on me. And
Research.
okay, it doesn't begin with a Google
It
Doc.
does.
No.
I just got the invitation for
let me
Game
talk.
5 Google
Let me
document.
talk.
I don't even know what. Like, we have still on Game 4. Why do I have Game 5?
Relax. You can. It's not your stage yet. Like, we're working on it. So really, how it begins is the creative process, right? And for us, what's really fun about our subscription, I find, is that we try to be really diverse. We try to make our games really different because we ourselves don't know what we're into more more than everything else. We don't know what people are gonna react positively to, what is gonna be like less interesting for them. So we just go with what we think is cool because we are target audience as well. We kind of judge and maybe so we're not really. I never go, okay, what's selling best right
treasure
now
hunt.
as it
Let's do
seems.
treasure hunt.
No, like we're not into treasure hunts.
Yeah.
So we don't do treasure hunts.
So we don't have it yet.
That's simple. We're into space. We do a space themed game. We're into like um okay, let me just say that I'm losing my thought. When for Kickstarter, we wanted to give people the idea of what kind of games they're gonna get. We couldn't give them all 13 games, but we could do like 7, 8, titles and little descriptions with, okay, in this game you can expect this, in this game you can expect that. And in order to do that, we just sat down and went, okay, what would we love to create? What would we like actually love to create if we could do anything? And it was such a mind-blowing thought to have, really, because like it just shows you how many opportunities there are in this industry. You can really do whatever you want. And I just went, okay, definitely space, definitely something from the past, like they have to travel back in history. And we thought, okay, something more like I don't want to say girly, but like not scary, kind of charming, something like that. So we went with Paris of 19th century for one game. For one game, we were like, okay, classic murder mystery. For one game, something like Scooby Doo, spooky, but in the end, it it weren't really ghosts, it was just people in costumes, kind of idea. Then I went,
Spoilers.
yeah, well, no, that's fine. That's in the description on Kickstarter. Then like medieval times, just to have some kind of a element that is like super different. So we just went with topics for like that was the start. So we'll have the topic of the game, then the title of the game, and then okay, what could happen in that universe? Um, say we went okay for like closer to Halloween. We want to have the game that is scary. We are not a subscription like Hunt a Killer, so we're not gonna have a lot of these games, but we can have at least one. And if we really enjoy the process, maybe we'll have more. So we went to case scary serial killers. Scary, good, that works. We'll take serial killer. Then we go, okay, we don't want it to be too bloody. but we also want it to be a narrative that really makes you profoundly like sad that this person died. Like you should really feel for this person. So we made it about a waitress in 50s because diners are just a cool aesthetic. That's the whole creative process here. We need cool aesthetic. Okay, diners in the 50s, cool. And the person who was killed is a young mother of two, a waitress, and everyone loved her, and her smile was just the prettiest smile in the whole town. Already sad, already making you like almost crying. You really want to catch the bastard who did it. That's the whole process. Then we just go, okay, how exactly that happened, what actually happened, other victims. Okay, we need a bunch of suspects
And items.
and then okay, suspects, some have to have an alibi. What items will they have? What items will show that they have alibi, or that they are to blame for something? Maybe they did some kind of other crime that you investigate. And when we have items, we think of the ways to incorporate puzzles into these items. If it's a restaurant bill, what could be on the restaurant bill? Maybe a cipher. Maybe there is some kind of a visual that is like a, I don't know, a stamp or something like that. And it just kind of comes together, and we just connect all the dots, make sure that the narrative really makes sense, everything is logical, and that we have enough puzzles to provide at least an hour and a half gameplay. But very often we provide more than that, and then we cut off some parts because already two times we had like 4 hours worth of gameplay in the game, and it's not okay. That's too much.
No, people think like I get it all the time. People are like, I want to do an adventure that's like an entire. I want to propose to my girlfriend, and we want to start at 8 a.m. and it's going to go to 8 p.m. And I was like, you don't want that. You think you want that?
Yeah.
I was on Reddit on the escape room subreddit, and somebody was like, are there any like complete overnight or all day escape rooms? And myself and everyone else was like, you don't want that. You think you want it, but after hour two, your eyes start to glaze over, and you want to go just like shut off your brain. So it's tricky.
Sure.
Now,
Sure.
to recap really quickly, to make sure that I got what you said, because it's so important to me to help people that like are creative but just don't even know where to begin. It sounds like you start with the overall like skin of the game, the theme, right? Space or murder mystery diner. And then you start to get a little bit closer and you figure out some of the basic themes, right? Like I'm assuming you have like who did it or the ending. Does that happen first? Is that one of the first things you figure out?
Not really. I guess,
Like with game 3, we decided who did it only by the end.
but we have a rough idea of what happened. Like someone,
who could have done it.
it was
I
a
guess.
setup. It was a murder, or it was a setup, or something like that. Maybe it's not a specific person yet, but there is an idea of okay, someone lied, or okay, someone just did it behind someone's back. That's kind of thing.
Yeah, and then you start to find like the vehicles that you could put a puzzle into, right? Like, and I love, one of the big things I harp on is everything has to make sense. Sometimes you'll see like I want to do a serial killer, like, or a who done it, and they're like, okay, well they left a puzzle, and you're like, why would the serial killer leave a puzzle, right? It has to be like it was left this way, or that's their intent, or that's their mindset, like this is their style. And so it has to be explained. Otherwise, you get that moment. You're like, wait, that is like, why would they just like leave a Sudoku, or why would they do this,
Yeah. I know. And
Erase it from the
Remove the Sudoku.
Yeah, totally. And it's hard. And what I find really hard is that we really want it to be a kind of like an escape room experience, less of a puzzle book experience.
Yeah.
More of there is a story, a mystery that you unravel. So it is a kind of a detective case in a way every time, even if it's not a serial killer whodunit kind of game, even if it's just like a person disappeared in Paris of 19th century, you still have to understand what's going on. You still have to go through the puzzles the way that you actually look at the content, you actually read through the things, listen through the audio files and stuff like that. So by the end of the game, you are ready to answer the questions. And this is the way our games with narrative are designed. The first game is the intro game. It's a completely different thing, but starting from game 2, we have kind of like the same structure for all the games so far. You figure out the mystery by solving all the puzzles. And in the end, you access the quiz, and the quiz is about the narrative. And to get the answers, you should solve all the puzzles. Like, you will not be able to say, maybe you'll be able to say who's the killer, but you won't be able to say what was his motive, where was he on Thursday night, kind of thing. You will need to get all this information.
Gotcha.
And then you submit the answers. The quiz will show you what was right and what was wrong.
Yeah, but Game 4 has a way different.
Wait, and then when you get like, okay, three right from five whatever questions, you also get a recap of the whole story. It's either a video file, it's usually a video file with the voiceover from Game Master, who's like a master of our secret society. And he's telling you the whole story, like in a nice kind of like way, just walking you through everything that happened that day that you were supposed to understand playing the game. Or maybe it's an audio file with the same stuff.
Yeah.
I find that's like, that helps you tie all the ends and understand what actually happened. Because yes, you did solve the puzzles and that was fun, but it was also about something like bigger than that, a story.
Yeah. So with going to the puzzles and for puzzle creation and design, because this is something that people struggle with so much, myself included, where it's just like, I like to create events and experiences and I use puzzles as a vehicle. And oftentimes I take the client and then the location and then combine it together. But you are creating something that's housed entirely in an envelope in a story that was created by you. Obviously, I believe you said there's online components as well, correct?
Yes, and quite a lot. And for some games more, and for some games less. Like if it's Paris 19th century, that makes sense to have less online stuff, right?
Yeah.
There is a digital log that you open online, just because we don't have physical items in the envelope, right? But we do want you to open like the jewelry box. So
Yes.
okay, you go for the log, you go online. But for say a game that happens in the States, it happens in the 23rd century. So it really doesn't make sense to give you a lot of letters like on paper. I don't think that's what they would do in 23rd century. So there are some websites that you go through with some Easter eggs on these websites, and there is a cool spaceship main control terminal that you interact with. Like you type commands and it gives you information, and you work with that information. But it's just,
So what's about
again,
puzzles?
it's a part of the game. It's not. And about puzzles, that's mostly for Lisa, because all the coolest puzzles are designed by Lisa. I'm more of like in charge of simple puzzles. I
Okay,
think.
Lisa, your time to shine. My first question is, do you have any favorite types or styles of puzzles or just elements? And then we can also cap it to like, do you have anything that you really don't like or things that you just don't enjoy either playing or building? And I know this is tough because puzzles can be based off the elements, but yeah, I figured I'd ask. Like, do you have anything that's your favorite, that's your go-to?
I hate math puzzles.
Thank you.
I hate them. I love math. I don't think it goes well.
Yeah,
into-
it's just like I'm not in class right now. I'm
Yeah.
trying to, entertain myself. I don't want to like do math.
My favorite puzzle so far, and I think Anna's favorite as well, wasn't our puzzle, but we spent an hour on it and we loved every second of it, and we solved it totally not how it was supposed to be solved.
Oh, actually, that was Mobile Escape.
Yeah, Mobile
shout
Escape.
Shout out to Mike and Eric. I never told them that, but yeah, we totally screwed up the way the puzzle was supposed to be solved, but we loved it.
Yes,
sorry,
thank you.
sorry.
So it was kind of like Zodiac style puzzle. You know how they solved the first Zodiac code? Some couple from U.S. in the 50s. They just went for the most used words. It was a cipher with a letter changing, like a letter for symbol.
Mhm.
So we didn't have a keyword. There was a keyword, we just didn't see it. So we just spent an hour just figuring out.
Like this is 3 letters, so that's probably V.
Yeah.
That makes sense there. This is 1 letter, that's maybe A in the sentence. So we just went like all like crazy on that, but we really loved that.
Yeah, we're not gonna put that in the game like that.
That was too much. That was too much. We were like, these guys are crazy.
Love it.
Love it. But
And what was the
yeah,
game that you played again? You chopped out right when you said it.
It's a mobile escape.
Escape
Mobile.
Mail by Mobile Escape. That was the
Mobile
first
Escape.
game, but that was we made that puzzle a completely
Screwed up.
different thing.
That's funny. I love, this might be my favorite style, is like encryption, coded words, like encrypting messages and making a puzzle based on decrypting that. Because you can make it, and you essentially brute forced it, and but that's an okay way to beat the game because it still feels really good, right? When you beat it,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if you beat it in certain ways. Sorry, I'm writing down mobile escape. Um, that's really fun. So you talked about how you love to decode messages, no math, and I totally agree with you. Like the closest I can come to a math type of puzzle is like a logic problem, maybe, where I can deduce things, or if it's
Mhm.
just like almost a trick question, right? Like something that's so simple, but you end up overthinking it. But it's like, oh yeah, the answer's zero, right? When like you're trying to go through all these things, I'm okay with that too because you attack it a different way.
Yeah, actually, I find that it is a problem for experienced players. Sometimes they expect, almost like expect something of a puzzle when they see it because they've solved so many of
Yes.
this, like similar type puzzles. So they look at something and they go, okay, this is the way it's supposed to be. But I think this thing with our games is that when we launched, we haven't really played a lot of different games in the industry. We played a couple,
Yep.
played like we do love escape rooms. We're experienced with that, but we don't really like base our puzzles on of something that we already saw.
Yeah.
So some of our puzzles are like I think I don't want to sound like that, but I think some of your puzzles are really original, and some people maybe look
Well,
at them
you
and
keep
go, "Yeah, this is the way that it's supposed to be," but it's not.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Well, think outside the box."
you keep pushing my original puzzles away though. Like I had an amazing cipher alphabet for like
And we will use
3 months now.
We will use it. It was just it didn't fit any of the games yet. But I promise we will use it. That's a
Yeah,
great.
I would imagine that happens a lot. I have things too where I will sit on some type of gambit or something where I want to use it, but it's like I can't do this one because it's got this type of theme around it. And so I was gonna ask is like, do you guys have a lot of things just sitting in like a notebook where you're like, someday we're gonna find a way to fit this in,
Yeah.
but you just kind of have to wait for it. So let's talk a little bit about the puzzle behind you. I'm going to pull it up on screen because it's going to be way easier for people to
Yeah.
see it.
Okay.
Let me try to find it. I, for some reason, don't have it up here. So yeah, why don't you start by explaining what this is, or give me a quick, breakdown while I pull up the photo.
Are we solving it or?
Oh, I think we should. I think we should. I would love to try to solve it right now, though I might not be able to. We'll see if I can do it. Okay. Actually, let me talk about what I see here, and then
Yeah.
we can go from there. So, in the left side, I see letters A to Z, top to bottom. And then on the right side, I see numbers 1 through 26. That makes sense. Apparently, I'm looking for a 4-letter password. As we already said, but it's put there, it's a promo code. It looks like you have two, one that's a 15% off code and one that's a 20% off code. Oh,
Yeah.
that's fun. So it's like an easy, because that's one of the other questions I wanted to ask, is you had on your website, you have like easy mode and hard mode. And the one that likes to overcome things always wants the hard mode, but like the realist in me is like, maybe I should do easy mode because I can struggle a little bit. So looks like it's not binary. It looks like I see not in sixes split. When at the end of a message, I see a hint, which I will not look at right now, not tic-tac-toe. So my guess is, okay, I'm going to start looking at this. So my first inclination was just X's and I's would be Roman numerals, but I don't think that it's all almost the same thing, where it's 11, 11, 11, 10. Or I don't even know if I can read Roman numerals. I see the hint is 2233, and I don't know where to begin. So let me take a look. And
I think it's a hard one. Like Lisa said, no, it's easy. You know who's watching these interviews? These people are crazy. They love to suffer. And I was like, okay, if
no,
they
it's
do
true.
this,
We
then
do.
enjoy.
And that's why I want this to take a while, because anybody that watches this late, I don't want to be like, oh, yeah, it's this. This is the password. And I want to give people the enjoyment of figuring this out, and also being like, Chris, you moron, it's this. And I'm like, I know. Okay. So
So do you want another hint?
I always want another hint. Yes, can I have a small hint?
It is indeed Roman numerals.
Oh, I got it. Okay. So an X is 10, right? I should double check that. And an I is 1. So if it's a 4-letter word, it would be. Okay. Oh, I already have somebody in chat. Let me pop him up. I agree with you, Chris. This is a great name, and this is a tricky one. So I have somebody working on it, and he actually kind of crushes a lot of these. So, all right. So we're gonna start Roman numerals, and I'm just gonna say 11, 11, 11, 10.
That's a weird word.
Yeah,
I
that would be weird, right?
And then if I went, wait, Chris has XI is 9. Wouldn't it be IX would be 9? Because it's got to come before that. Okay.
Yes, right? When I nod
I
and
don't
stuff.
know, probably.
Chris, we only see the puzzle on the screen, right?
Yes. Yep. The puzzle's full up on the screen. Well, you can see out
Okay,
the
cool.
outlines of us, so I can see just a little bit of Lisa's face. And then if I go this way, I can be like, "Hi, I'm here on the right side." But like right in the middle is just puzzle. So everyone should be able to see it. It takes up almost the entire screen. And they can work through this. Okay, so I was right that XI is 11. I'm going to look through the alphabet and look at like the 10th and 11th letter. And I'm going to ask, and I think I know the answer. This is an actual word. It's not just like a series of letters, correct?
One of them is an actual word.
And one of them is a
Yeah,
series
yeah.
of
There
letters.
are two promo
The
codes.
one that says 4-letter word is a word.
Okay. And the other one. So my assumption is that the 15% off code would be whatever the 4 letters of whatever the 11th, 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 and 10th letters are. And so in that case, I'm like literally going through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it would be KKKJ is where I'm starting, but I don't know if that's going to be correct. Okay. And then the hint is 2233, which would be BBCC. Okay, I might be ready for another hint. Once again, Chris and chat, if you want to take a crack at this or give me any help, I'll take all the help I can get.
That sounds like me when I was trying to solve this puzzle. I was like, Lisa, why
love
are you doing this to
I
me?
love
Like,
it. No, and
not
especially
like you.
it's you have different puzzles for different mediums. If somebody hires me to do a marriage proposal, the most important thing is that the person who's getting proposed to makes it to the spot where they need to at the time where they need to be. And so I tend to err my puzzles on the side of making them too easy rather than too hard. But for something you build, like, it's totally fine if somebody struggles, right? You want people to work on this in groups and teams, and groups are going to do better than a single person. And so it makes sense that it's a little bit more challenging and there's a little bit more of a jump for me to figure out. Okay.
Like we never had the feedback that went, it was too hard, I hate it, but we had a feedback that when it was too easy, I hate it.
We had people being like, okay, that was charming, but I was expecting a more difficult.
So we were like,
they were like, charming? Wait a second, wait for the next game. Yeah, I know, but this puzzle, like, I wouldn't allow it for the
I
beginners
don't
level
know,
for sure.
it's-
That
I
would
love
go
this
for
puzzle.
experience level. Okay, Lisa, give another hint.
Yep.
So 2233 is number of Roman numerals in a letter. So first
Oh, okay. So it would be.
Here it comes.
No, you're gonna give me too much
what
credit.
do you have?
I have Chris say possible letters include A, I, J, and K with a question mark. If the chat gets this, please absolutely give that confirmation. Okay, so 2233. So I am gonna say 2 would be 11. So I have 11, 11, and then there aren't enough to go in that specific route.
I think there should be another.
No,
hint
I
here.
think it's enough.
I think you can let me squirm for a little bit, and then I will inevitably beg for a hint in like 1 to 3 minutes, as I try to talk out loud. Okay. Honestly, anybody in chat want to help take cracks at this or ask questions for them? Please get in here. Okay. I want this promo code. At the end of a message. Not gonna worry about that.
By the end of it, people are like, you know what? I'm fine paying the whole amount.
Hey, that's a win-win, right? Okay. So if I'm literally gonna Google what like different Roman numerals are. So excuse me. Actually, I should probably do it on my phone so I don't wreck my internet on my computer. Okay, I have.
Yeah, in a good direction, because you got most of the letters, but you forgot one. So I think it's just because maybe you need to look at Roman numerals, what they look like.
I know, right? That's just like a gap in my knowledge where it's like I get, one is one, and then you go 1, 2, 3, and then once you get to V is a 5, and you go from there.
Yeah, I'm remembering how to solve it too right now. Like just looking at it.
Okay, so we have a break here. Yeah, Chris had XI, then IX, then XIX, XIX. So it would be. I see some nodding out of like the corner. I'm gonna scoot this over so we can get the puzzle master. Ooh, okay. I have the first guess. Is it Kiss?
Well,
yes.
first part, yes, it's a kiss.
Yay!
So you got
15% off
15%
code. Hey! Congratulations, Chris. You nailed that. Anybody watching, if you want 15% off, Kiss. Now, it sounds like there's a second piece to this that would give us 20% off. And you know us. We have time. We're going for the gusto. We're going to try to figure this out. Okay.
Yeah, we're not in a hurry. For sure. Can you open it? There. Mm-hmm. Oh.
And once again, it's like fully up on the screen here. Okay. So we got Kiss, and I'm assuming that the 20% off is obviously another 4-letter code because there's 4 dashes beneath. And it's taking Kiss and continuing forth with it, I guess.
Yes.
Okay. When at the end of a message. Oh, I'm guessing it would be XOXO. It's like hugs and kisses.
Hey,
I'm a genius! I got it! In your face, chat, I figured one out before you did for the first time ever. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, I'm going to add that in really quickly so we can have that. Okay, so I'm guessing XOXO instead of X0X0, which I would totally make that mistake.
Yeah, XOXO with letters. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's on www.scarletenvelope.ca.
Okay. And really quick, this is 20% off. What's the parameters behind this 20% off deal? Because I want to be like 20% off for life, like 20% off this. What does that get you?
It's the 20% off the first game in the subscription.
Perfect.
So the game that is called Newspaper Introduction to Mysteries. I've got a newspaper right here, but it's not just a newspaper. It's 9 items in the envelope.
Okay.
You will get that with a 20% discount. And then our subscription is no commitment. You can cancel it if you don't want to continue with the journey. But if you do, then you will be billed monthly. And you will get Game 2, Cabaret Lapin Blanc, about the disappearance of a cabaret dancer in Paris of 19th century. Then Game 3, the space-themed one that we talked about so much. Mm-hmm. Then Game 4, about the serial killer, and the rest of them are a secret.
Oh, I like it. And that was actually my next question. If I were to sign up today, you'd start me from the beginning, and it would go forth. I wouldn't just be like, well, I missed out on Game 1, 2, and 3. Like, better just get excited. Okay, that's really cool and exciting to know that, like, there's not that scarcity. Okay, so the last question I always love to ask, and this is wildly open ended before we get to like where can we find you, what should we do, is what have you learned? And I like to be let you answer this however you'd prefer. It could be in life, it could be in business, it could be in puzzles, it can be in anything. Like, what have you learned?
What have we learned? Well, first, and I think it's such a big thing, and it really helped me was just I guess just really helped me. The a little piece of advice that I would just give myself, like in May when we were still deciding to start all this and launch the Kickstarter, just if your gut is telling you to go for it, just go for it. And that's something that we did, but it was crazy scary. It was just like we were keeping, we're telling ourselves, okay, if it doesn't work out, it just doesn't work out. It's fine. Just, don't stress it out. Don't stress out so much and stuff like that. But it was still really scary. And but now I really understand that, okay, if we, kept doubting ourselves and if we didn't go for it, that just not none of it would have happened. And it's been an amazing, really crazy journey for us. And honestly, if I just start, remembering all the things that we've learned, that would be another like 48 minutes like we have right now, because we haven't um, like we're not experts in so many things that we have to be experts now. All this logistic working with the European orders, the customer service side of it, all these things, sourcing paper, working with all kinds of different paper, printing on film. I don't know, getting huge print items for a decent price. All these things we had to learn them in order to provide the results that, in order to meet all the expectations and make the product that we're actually proud
So
of.
what you meant, we haven't learned anything yet.
Well, no, that's
No,
great.
yes, we are in the process, and we are going for it. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
What
and
did you mean?
it reminds me of like two basic quotes. One is courage isn't not being afraid, courage is being afraid but going for it anyway. And then
Yeah,
it brings up the Dunning-Kruger effect, which I hit me super hard. Is in the beginning, you think you know everything and you know nothing, and then in the middle, you actually know quite a bit, but you think you know nothing. And then after you hit that point, you can come back up the curve and you can be like, I know things and you actually know things. And I feel like I'm coming back up the curve now. Like I have a very similar path as you. I backed into this industry because I did a gift for someone and it went viral on the internet and I started a business. And then I
yeah.
found out there were a lot of people that like kind of do what I do and they're real smart and they're really good and they've studied this stuff. And I'm like, okay,
And so much better sometimes, right? And you just realize, okay, it's probably for the best that I didn't even know about all these people and about
yes,
all these awesome projects, because I would just like start doubting myself so much. I would just say, okay, I will never be able to create the Emerald Flame.
yeah,
But the thing is, Emerald Flame is amazing and it's out there already, and it's fine that I can create
yeah,
it. I can create something else,
yeah.
and there's gonna be Emerald Flame and something else on the market, and people will play both, and it's amazing,
Have
really.
you played something else? What do
You've got to
No.
forget the imposter syndrome too. That's the
Yeah.
downside of Dunning Kruger is thinking that like, man, I really suck at this. Like I am not as good as these people. When really everyone's figured out. Like the like when you're a kid, you're like adults know everything, and then you become an adult and you're like, no, we don't. We don't know
Yeah.
anything. Like, and it's a little bit like this too, where everyone's still trying to figure it out. Everyone got kicked in the teeth when the pandemic hit, and we're all trying to like do fun and cool things. So,
Oh,
the last thing I always want to go over is where can people find you? I have your website, which I'm going to bring to the top of the screen over my face, and then I have. Are you just as active on Instagram and Facebook, or is there one where it's like I just do like. I have a Twitter account, but I'm just like it's not even worth being like following me on Twitter because I don't know what to do. Um, what do you
no,
recommend?
yeah, I think we're active on both platforms, but I personally think Instagram is a bit more fun because I'm posting a bit more backstage there, but I'm trying to keep up on Facebook as well because I know that some of our customers prefer Facebook and they're not on Instagram. So yeah, both are fine, and you can find us at scarlet.env, like ENV,
Yep, got it.
because Scarlet Envelope was already taken,
Yeah.
so that's what we had to do.
Oh yes, I got lucky with Constructed Adventures, but it's so long that I had to do Constructed ADV for a couple things because there's
Mhm.
just too many characters.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine, right? People will remember that as well. Um, so yeah, you can find us there. You can also subscribe to our newsletter on our website. We do sometimes get crazy and send out promo codes just
Why
because
not?
we feel like doing it.
But you have a
Uh,
promo code right here, so you can use that one, XOXO, and hopefully it gets used. So thank you guys so much for joining me. It was an absolute pleasure. Next week, I'm actually going to have Society of Curiosities, which is similar to what you guys do, but very treasure hunt. You talk about like we're not a huge fan of treasure hunts, and so like to each their own. I
sure.
Yeah, I did interview them a long time ago on my Instagram channel, and it's time to bring them back on YouTube because Instagram Live is not fun. But until then, thank you guys so much for joining me. And you guys, everybody, have a wonderful weekend. And for Americans watching, like, have a safe election. All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much. It was really fun.
All right. Bye.
Bye.